Welcome back, class 8, to the online bio classes. We had already started chapter 2, that is reproduction in plants and animals. In the previous class, we had studied about the different types of pollination. Like self-pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the same flower or another flower one in the same plant. Means only one plant is involved in self-pollination. The second one we studied was cross-pollination. Cross-pollination is the one in which two plants are needed, and the pollen grains from the anther of one flower is transferred to the stigma of another flower which is one in different plant. Means in cross-pollination, two different plants or parents are required. Whereas in self-pollination, only one plant is needed. Only one flower or two flowers of the same plant is needed. Then we studied about artificial pollination. What is artificial pollination? The pollination which is brought about by man. Means we human beings help to bring about pollination. This type of pollination is called artificial pollination. And in order to carry out artificial pollination, first we select the variety of plant with the desired characters, and then we transfer the pollen grains by dusting the pollen grains on the surface of stigma. But before dusting the pollens on the surface of stigma, we remove the anther of that flower. Why anther is removed? Question may be there in your mind. Anther is removed from a flower before carrying out dusting of pollens during artificial pollination to prevent self-pollination, because you know that the flower contains both the male and female part in bisexual flowers. So if the pollen grains are themselves shed or deposited on the stigma of the same flower, it will bring about self-pollination, which we do not need. Because we need artificial pollination, we need certain characters or traits which we need to increase the characteristics of the plant. So by this method of artificial pollination, we can get the desired character of two different plants in a new plant. So new plant which is produced by crossing two different plants with different characters is called hybrids. Hybrid, you know. Such a plant is called hybrid. Like nowadays we have many new varieties or hybrids of rice plant, like IRS8, Pusa 24, like these different names of hybrid maize, hybrid rice, and many more hybrid grains and plants have been produced. These hybrid plants are far better than the traditional one because they can produce large amount of grains. They are disease free, that is resistant to disease, and they can be more healthy as compared to the artificial one or the traditional one, not artificial one. Okay. Now today we are going to start the next topic, that is agents of pollination. You know what is the meaning of agents? I will try to lay stress on explanation instead of writing a lot, because all these are there in the book also. Now, what is the meaning of agents of pollination? Agents means those substances or those organisms who help to transfer the pollen grains from anther of the flower to the stigma of a flower. So, agents means those substances or organisms, that help in pollen transfer, of pollen. Means they carry the pollens from the anther to the stigma. Now these agents are of two types. What are they? Living agents, which are called biotic, and non-living agents, which are called abiotic. Means certain agents which help to bring about pollination or transfer the pollen grains. Some of them are living. Example of living or biotic agents, you can say man. We are also doing pollination, helping in pollination, that is called artificial pollination. It can be birds, it can be insects, it can be some other animals also like snails and slugs, mollusks. Okay, so all these are biotic agents. But the abiotic or the non-living agent are the one which do not have life, but they help to transfer the pollen grains. Example of abiotic agents like wind, water. Wind and water, both of them are abiotic agents of pollination. Means they help in the transfer of pollen grains. It can be done by wind, it can be done by water also, and it can be done by insects also. But insect is a biotic agent, wind and water are abiotic agents. Now, next we will study about the characteristics of flowers which are pollinated by wind, water and insects, and then fertilization. So let's study some of the characteristics of flowers which are pollinated by wind. We will start with wind first, okay? Now, you know that maize plant, the male flowers are present, wind pollinated flowers or pollination by wind. Pollination by wind. Wind is a abiotic agent. Just now we studied. In case of maize flower, maize plant, you can see that maize plant is here. The male flowers are present at the tip. They are called tassels. Tassels. Male flowers are here. And the leaves are there, long leaves are there. Okay? Then you can find the copse also. Copse, you know, the one which has silky hairs growing, the one which we eat, in which the grains are present. That represents the female part of the flower. So when the male part is transferred, it is done with the help of wind. Now we will study some of the characteristics of plants or flowers which are pollinated by wind. Number one, the flowers are, since they are pollinated by wind, they are not colorful, they are not colored, they are not showy. The flowers are not colorful because they don't have to attract insects for pollination. They do not produce sweet smell, that is fragrance of the flower is not there because insects are not going to be attracted by it. They do not produce scent, smell. Instead of smell you can write scent also. They do not produce with scent. They do not produce nectar, which is the food for the insect. And the pollens are produced in large quantity. One of the important characteristics, large amount of pollens are produced. Okay? Large amount of pollens are produced. Why? Not only in case of wind pollinated flowers, in water pollinated flowers also large amount of pollen grains are produced, because the reason behind it is most of the pollens are wasted, because most of the pollens are wasted when they are carried by wind. Wasted when carried by wind, because wind may carry the pollens and deposit it in some other places apart from the flower. So that will cause wastage of pollen grains. So that's why wind pollinated and water pollinated flowers need to produce large amount of pollen grains, because some of them will only reach the suitable place or that particular stigma of the flower on which they are needed or which they are compatible. Maybe some of them will land on the stigma of other flowers and fail to cause fertilization. So next characteristics of wind pollinated flowers are the pollens which are produced. Pollens are light in weight. Pollens are small, because if it is small in size, wind can easily carry them when they will blow. They are carried by the wind current. They are light in weight. This is an important characteristic. Their weight is very less. So they are small. They are light in weight. Because if they are very heavy pollens, it will be very difficult for the wind to carry such the heavy pollens from one place to the other. Okay? And next one is, the pollens are produced in large quantity. Already I said, they are small, they are neither scented nor they are brightly colored. And next one is the stigma of such, the last point, the pollen grains are small, light in weight. Why? Because if they are small in size, they can be carried by the wind. If they are light in weight, the wind can easily carry them. Then the next one is, what about the stigma of such flower? The stigma, because it has to receive the pollens which is deposited by the wind, so the stigma must be sticky in nature, because it will help to receive the pollen grains. It is sticky and feathery. So I will just write the main point: sticky and feather-like stigma. Sticky and feathery stigma. What is the benefit of such a stigma which is sticky and which is feather-like? It will help to, because it is broad and expanded, when the wind will carry the pollens, it may be deposited on the surface of stigma. Got it? An example of such wind-pollinated flowers is maize flower, we can write. Okay? Now next one we have to do is water pollination. Okay? What is water pollination? Or what are the characteristics of flowers which are pollinated by water? They are also called aquatic plants, you know. Those plants that grow in water are called aquatic plants. And aquatic plants have certain characteristics, right? They produce their anthers, that is the male pollen, within the flower, within that water only. So they are buoyant in nature. So now next one is water pollination. Pollination by water we can write, or water pollinated flowers. I am giving the heading. Water pollinated flowers. You can also write pollination by water. Okay. Example you can say, it is found in Vallisneria. I am writing on the top. Vallisneria is an aquatic plant. It is found in lotus, is also an aquatic plant. It is a flower which is found growing in water. Pondweed is also an aquatic plant. Vallisneria is an aquatic plant. In your book also the hydrilla is there and pondweed is there. Three examples are given: hydrilla and pondweed. All three are aquatic plants. Okay. Now, what are the characteristics of flowers which are pollinated by water? First characteristics already I said in the previous one, that is large amount of pollens are produced. Large amount of pollens are produced. Why? Because these pollens are wasted. When they swim along with the water current, most of them are carried away by the water current to other places where the flowers are not there. So that causes wastage of pollens. So large amount of pollen grains are produced in the aquatic flowers. Number two, the pollens have a waxy coating. Why waxy coating is there? Because the pollens has to remain in water. It should be protected from the aquatic medium, that is the water. That's why the pollen grains are large in quantity. And number two, the pollen grains are, they have buoyancy, means floating power. So the pollens have a waxy coating. This one I was saying, no? Waxy coating to protect them from water, because if you keep anything in water, it may be spoiled for a long time, isn't it? If you keep such pollens in the aquatic medium for a long time, then the next condition is, because wind is not insects are not involved, so flowers are not brightly colored, they do not produce any scent. So this also you can write, flowers are not colored, brightly colored, they are not scented, because all these things are not needed. They do not produce nectar. They are needed only for the insects, to attract the insects. So next one you can write, they are small and not soiled. They are small in size, they are not showing all these characteristics. You can write here only, because they do not need any insects to attract towards them. That's why they are not showing. They are not. They may, some of them may be colorful, but they do not have any methods to attract the insects for them. They do not need the insect, because it is to be done with water, not with insect. And the last point, you can say that the stalks of the flower, stalks, like this is the flower on which the flower is produced. This is called the stalk. So this stalk of the flower is very long. Why? The stalks are long so that the male and female part of the flower can be present on the surface of water. Like this is the surface, here the flower should be present above the water surface, so that they can release the pollen grains on the surface. Similarly, the stigma which is present in the flower, if the flower has a long stalk, the stigma can also remain on the surface of water to receive the pollen grains which are floating in water. Okay, so all these characteristics we have done. Pollen grains are produced in large quantity. They are spongy and water resistant. In your book it is given, the pollens are spongy and water resistant. Already I have written waxy coating is there. Why pollens are spongy? Because if they are like a sponge, they will not sink in water, they will float on the surface of water. So pollens are spongy and water resistant. Yeah, pollens are spongy and water resistant. Okay, this point is also given in your book. Now next we have to do is insect pollinated flower. Up to here it is complete. Understood this one? Now next topic we have is the insect pollinated flowers. There are many examples of insect pollinated flowers you can give, like it is found in mango, it is found in guava, it is found in China rose, any other plant you can give. They are pollinated by insects. Okay, in which the honeybee and other insects will come to bring about pollination. So pollination by insect. Next topic, pollination by insect or insect pollinated flowers you can say. Okay, examples already I said. Now what are the characteristics of flowers pollinated by insect? Number one, the flowers are brightly colored. So first point we can write, flowers are brightly colored. They are scented, means they produce a very good fragrance. And why good fragrance? So that insects will get attracted towards them by their scent. They produce nectar, that is a food, sweet liquid or sap, which is present in the flower, which serves as a food for the flower, for the insect. Because insects will visit the flower, why? To get the nectar as their food. And how they are attracted? Because of their brightly colored petals, because of their scent, they produce nectar. And the second characteristics we can, why I have not written that? To attract the insects. To attract insects for bringing about pollination. Now what is the second characteristics of insect pollinated flowers? The pollens which are produced, they are sticky in nature. Why? Or they have certain rough surface. Like suppose this is the pollen grains. They have certain sticky surface like this. Okay, I will draw another pollen like this, simple one. See, if you see China rose, like this type of pollens, this spine-like surface is there, no? Rough surface is there. What is the function of this rough surface? It will help to stick to the body of insects. So you can write pollens have rough surface and their sticky substance, you can say, they cling and they stick to the body of insects to bring about pollination. Because if these pollens will stick to the body of insects, when the insects will visit them, the same insect will visit another flower and that will cause pollination. Then the next point is, pollens are not big in size, the pollens are small, pollens are light in weight, no need to say here because that is not the characteristics of wing pollination. Then next characteristics of insect pollinated flowers, you can say the pollens are produced not in very big quantity, but it is produced in sufficient quantity to bring about pollinations. Okay, so flowers are large, brightly colored. The stigma is sticky. The last point you can say, stigma is sticky. Sticky means it has a glue-like substance, so that when the insects will come rub their, what can we say, when the insects will rub their legs or fan their wings, at that time whatever pollens were being sticking to their body, they will be deposited on the surface of stigma. And once the pollens are deposited, pollination is done. So now next fact 5, one topic is there, that is bract. B-R-A-C-T. What is bract? In your book it is mentioned in the box. Colorful leaves are called bract. So I will write the definition here. Colored leaves are called bracts. Example, bougainvillea. Bougainvillea is the name of the flower, in which the flowers are small, white in color. They are not so attractive, but the leaves which are colorful makes the bougainvillea plant very attractive in nature. So their function is to also attract the insects to bring about pollination. Although they are not parts of flower, but they help to bring about pollination by attracting the insects. Now next topic which we have to do is fertilization. Okay, so next topic which we have to do is fertilization. Till now we have studied that what is pollination, then what are the agents of pollination, and how pollination is achieved or done with the help of different biotic and abiotic agents. Now what is fertilization? Once the pollens are deposited, first I will write the definition. The process of fusion, I will just write in short, fusion of male gamete. Male gamete means here the pollens. In case of plants or flowers it is called pollens. Pollens are the male gametes. So fusion of male gametes with the female gamete. In case of plants or flowers, the female gamete is egg. Egg is called fertilization. Now after fertilization, a single cell structure called zygote is formed, and that zygote will undergo differentiation to form the baby plant, that is embryo. And the embryo contains all the parts of the plant like radicle, which gives rise to the root system, plumule that gives rise to the shoot system, okay, and generally the seedling will develop into a mature plant. Now what are the steps of fertilization in case of flowers? I will show it with the help of a diagram. Now this is the stigma of the flower. Here the pollens are deposited, you can see. Now this is the long style, and finally we have the ovary at the base. Ovary contains the ovules. Okay. So now these pollens which are deposited on the surface of stigma is clearly seen, no? They will start producing a tube which is called pollen tube. And pollen tube will gradually pass through the style. This part of the flower is called style. Actually I have drawn one carpel. This one is called stigma. The broad, flat, sticky substance is called stigma. The one which receives pollen grains. This one is style. This one is called ovary, the swollen basal part. And this one is called ovule, inside which we have the embryo sac that contains the female gamete, which is known as egg. Okay. Now these pollens which are deposited here, they contain the male gamete. Now this male gamete travels through this pollen tube. The pollen tube will keep on growing in length. It will pass through the style, keep on growing in length, and carry the male gamete so that it can reach up to the female gamete by passing through the style, by passing through the ovary and the ovule. and finally this female gamete and the male gamete will fuse to produce the zygote. Okay, so once there are two male gametes produced here, one of the male gamete fuses with the egg cell and the other male gamete fuses with the secondary nucleus which is present in the same bed to form endosperm. This one will form egg. So I will just write it here. Male gamete, that is one male gamete, two male gametes are here. Male gamete plus egg cell, it gives rise to zygote. The second male gamete, this is the first male gamete. The second male gamete, that's why it is called double fertilization, plus the polar nucleus, this one is called the polar nuclei or the secondary nucleus, okay, because it is formed by the fusion of two nucleus. So it is called secondary nucleus. Second male gamete plus secondary nucleus, it gives rise to endosperm. Endosperm. So because two times fertilization occurs, once with one male gamete and the egg cell, and the second one with the second male gamete and the secondary nucleus. That's why it is called double fertilization. Okay, so today we will study about the flowers up to here only. Now I will help you to show, or as homework what you can do next. Yeah, questions is there, name the following. Like number 1, name the stalk of the flower. The answer is, that you will do as homework in your copy. I will just click the photo from the book and send it to you as homework. Those who have already got or purchased the book, one question is there on page 44. Name the following. So first question is, name the stalk of the flower. What is it called? Pedicel. So try to complete it. I am not saying all the answers. Later on I will give. So we can do the remaining in the next class. So you can watch the video and in the comment section write your name so that I can come to know how many of you have watched the class, video class. Okay? Thank you.